While our first speakers are settling into their chairs, I'd like to welcome our first Fair Vote presenter, Dania Korkor, a member of our legal staff since 2013.
Thank you, Rob. Okay. Here's a shocker. Americans do not have an explicit right to vote in the Constitution. That's right. The United States is just one of 11 democratic nations without an explicit right to vote. While various constitutional amendments prevent discrimination in voting based on age, sex, and race, there is no affirmative right to vote. Pro-voting laws often serve us well, but have fallen short in achieving free, fair, and accessible elections for too many of our 227 million eligible voters. Voting is a privilege and a responsibility, but above all, it is a right. But we are not upholding that right when 1 in 4 eligible voters are not registered to vote, and when millions are registered more than once due to no fault of their own. When the Supreme Court suspended Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act and states were quick to pass restrictive voting laws, we were not upholding that right. Let's take Esperanza's father, a Korean War vet from Texas, who has been voting at the same polling place for decades, but because he no longer drives, his license was expired. And when he tried to vote last November, he was turned away. Today, more than 10,000 voting jurisdictions administer elections for president in their own way. With so many variations, voting has become a highly polarized and politicized issue. Democracy's cornerstone is too often in the hands of politicians who figuratively seem all too ready to let the air out of the football. It is time for us to all stand up for a principle that stands the test of time. It is time for an explicit, individual, constitutional right to vote. It would mean electoral standards to guarantee the highest degree of inclusivity and consistency across the nation. Courts could keep politicians from gaming the vote. A right to vote amendment will take a lot of work. But when it comes to the most fundamental of rights, we can't take any shortcuts. Our thanks to Representatives Keith Ellison and Mark Pocan for leading on this issue in Congress. And at Fair Vote, we've launched a Promote Our Vote project to start a grassroots approach to standing up for the right to vote on a local level in our communities. Let's achieve a democracy in which every vote and every voice counts in every election. Let's establish a constitutional right to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Dania.